And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the Tenacious Turtle Tussle number 21. I'm, of course, your host, Live VIP. With me, I'm joined by these amazing players, the people in the chat, and by my plushies as well. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the beginning of something different. A new era here for a long time, for a month at this point. Oh, for over a month. This event has been a weekly open tournament, but now it is a bi-weekly. We missed out last week. For those that are curious, that is why there was no Tenacious Turtle Tussle last week. On top of that, we have, on top of that, so it looks like I'm going to be switching these over. But on top of that, this event is also now on Thursdays or on Wednesday, depending on where you are in the world. We were hosting on Sunday/Monday mornings or evenings, again, depending on where you are. We have since moved over to Wednesdays instead, or at least Thursday morning here in the land of Australia. So again, we have kind of moved over further into the week. Big reason for this is just to kind of spread out our events on top of that as well, just to allow for some other players to take part as well. So now we're not as congested at the start of the week, you know, Sunday, Monday kind of portion of StarCraft. Not anymore. But yeah, welcome back to the new time slots, the new time zone for the Turtle Tussle. And again, it is now a bi-weekly tournament, and we have our first matchup. We have our first series, !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. The bracket is live, the bracket is stacked, and we are jumping into our first ZVT of the night, into EON versus INexorable. Let's go. Let us go. On top of that, a lot of representation happening in the challenge as well. We'll go over the bracket momentarily. Don't you worry. We'll get there. But for now, we are jumping into game number 1. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Crimson Court, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the Yellow Terran. We featured him last night. Now we're featuring him again. For the Platinum Heroes, it is INexorable. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Costa Rican Zerg player, the Purple Zerg, representing team License to Kill LTK. It is EON. Let's go. We have our ZVT again last night. Of course, we were busy covering the Code for Giants Cup, which is a Brazilian-only tournament, so we are featuring players like INexorable and featuring many others that have actually signed up for the tournament. Shout out to Cosmos. Cosmos, of course, he is the organizer of Code for Giants Cup. He is a big Brazilian caster as well, and he signed up. And he also got his boys sign up as well. Fala galera, there's Don Minocos in the bracket, Tata Giba, INexorable, and many others as well. So again, we do appreciate that Cosmos and the Portuguese community has come together for the Turtle Tussle. Do appreciate it, and we'll see how far they can go. We'll see how well they can perform. Again, when it comes to this first round, this first match, I feel like it's pretty close in skill here. EON and INexorable. INexorable, he's more of a standard macro player. Last night, he did defeat Eric in a best of 3, went all the way to the ace match, and INexorable did come out on top. EON is similar to Eric in a sense. He's not quite as creative when it comes to his builds, but aggressive is what I will say. EON is a very aggressive Zerg player, so I'm curious how he compares to INexorable. I'm quite curious. EON, he's another Roach boy, another Roach enjoyer in this matchup as well. We can see it was not a hatch gas pull, it was an earlier pull timing. SV Scout does confirm how late the hatchery is, and the Lings are moving out. The goal here, they're going past the turtle. It's beautiful. But the Lings are moving out across the map, designed to delay the CC, and the Reaper is staying at home. Yeah, the Reaper does stay back at home again. INexorable, he knows how late the hatchery was, and he will find the Lings, and he will stop them. And his goal here is to keep that SCV alive. Marine comes down as well. The SCV is under fire. Will delay the expansion by a couple of seconds, but will not kill the SCV, and the expansion is well underway. So a nice cleanup by INexorable. Again, the reason why he stayed back at home was because of his SCV scout. He knew how late the hatchery was, which means he knew how early the spawning pool was, and he was able to stick around, clean up the Lings, and now move out across the map. So a much better start here for the Terran. Behind this, 3cc, 3rd CC before Starport, so a very economic build here by the Terran player as well. Moves out across the map, threatens the natural. Drones are under fire. The Queen is in position. And do we sport trade? We do. Oh my god, the gas guys are just in time. Reaper goes down. Oh my. calm down. Okay, EON, he punishes the greed. He saves the drone just barely by morphing on that gas geyser. That drone barely still alive. I was able to bring down the Reaper as well, so a bit of a back and forth. Overall, I do think it was still a better start for the Terran, just because EON, he may not have lost any drones, but he still was forced to have a delayed expansion and delayed queens and just a lot of delays in general here. Ooh, but this is an overreaction. Scan into the main. I mean, EON does have a reputation. He does have a reputation, and clearly INexorable is aware of that. He scans the main base and nothing to be found. Very early scan as well, so clearly INexorable, he is aware of the reputation that EON has, and he's a little bit terrified. After the scan ends, then there's the Roach Warren. Let's go. Again, EON, we spoke about it earlier, but he's a very aggressive Zerg player. He's very willing to go all in and very willing to be in your face, especially with roaches, and EON is embracing that. Again, fortunate for EON that he throws it down after the scan did complete, and INexorable is going 3cc 2-on-1. So there's a bit of a give and take going on here. Basically, this build of INexorable means barely any Hellions. Only two. Only 2 Hellions on the map. He cuts Hellion production. It also means no Banshees either. He's going for a stim timing. He's going for Mass Marine. There's a bit of a give and take here. On the one hand, I mean, the stim timing can hit quite hard. On the other hand, though, limited scouting. Limited scouting information for INexorable, so he's in the dark as to what's going on. The Hellions, they do spot some of these lings, but they do not spot the Roach Warren or the roaches that are coming out. So INexorable, he has very little time to respond, very little time to react. EON is going to be moving out, and INexorable, he does not have stim. It's almost done. He needs a little bit more time. The Marines are scattered. EON is aware of what's going on, and here comes the army. Yeah, the roaches and ravagers are moving out across the map. INexorable, he doesn't know how much danger he's in, so no bunkers. No bunkers, no defensive setup. He's going double eBay, double gases. He's embracing his production, getting to his 3rd TC. INexorable, he is none the wiser. And EON, he's about to knock down that door. He's about to arrive. He's got 26 more lings on the way. The lings, they're coming. Lings are on the way, and INexorable, is he cool with his pants down? I mean, again, the Marines, they do have stim. They can hold their own. Medevacs have arrived. Here come the Ravagers. And the Ravagers, they do push forward. No piles yet. The boys are being pulled. Piles on the depots. Depots will go down. And EON, he is busted into the natural. Headed for the mineral line. The piles on the red. Up! Ooh. Graze the army. Graze the SCVs. The Marine count is still looking quite high. Tank is on the way. And EON, oh yeah, supply blocked INexorable. There we go. Just barely breaks out. Does call down the supply on the depot. Takes down both eBays. The RTC is mining, is operational. What does EON go for? For now, he does not threaten the main. And the tank has arrived, and EON gets the hell out of here. He backs off. He backs off. He's droning. EON is droning up. He rotates around towards the 3rd base. He will find the CC. SCVs are kept alive. They are kept back. But INexorable did save most of his workers. He goes back into mining here at the natural. Upgrades are heavily delayed. But he's safe. He survives. INexorable, he does survive. Oh, he wants a tank. He wants it. He gets it. Oh my god, the Marines are going for the dive. Lings are forced to engage. EON has to get the hell out of here. He's racing out, but INexorable, he can chase him down. He can try. We'll catch 3 of those Ravagers. Overlord as well. EON, he races back. He survives with 4 Ravagers. He's making roaches. Got 1-1 on the way. Infestation bit, that should be for infestors. And the question becomes, EON, he did a good amount of damage, but was it enough? I don't think so. The reason for this, I mean, most of the SCVs were saved. Most of the workers were saved here at the 3rd base as well. INexorable, he's on 52 SCVs. He is ahead economically, plus mules. On top of that, with the medevacs, now the Marines can be active. So EON, he's behind in the economy. He's still trying to keep up army-wise as well. I think EON should be able to survive this push, but the question becomes, does EON drone from here on forward, or does he go for a second all-in? The Queen's being tied down. 1 Queen falls. Again, EON, he holds the line. Infestors are on the way. More gases. In a standard macro game, I do think that INexorable is going to be overwhelming EON, so the question becomes, when do we cut SCVs, if at all? So we have another double drop moving out. Anti-air is going to be quite limited here for EON. Just trying to break down that mineral wall. Creep is being denied. And INexorable being very careful. Cautious with how he does engage. Back at home, 1-1 upgrades. I mean, now they had to be rebuilt, had to be restarted. We can see INexorable is getting ready for a roach all in. We have a wall of bunkers on the way. That's a lot of bunkers. And EON, he is taking and droning. He's taking up into a hive, going into lurkers. Before we can get there, double jump into the main base, going for the mineral line. Actually going for a +1. Upgrades should finish up in time, just barely up. Oh my god, does finish up. 1-1 does complete. Going for the second Evo chamber. Vengeance. INexorable slimes both Evo chambers for losing both of his own E-bays earlier. I mean, he will delay 2-2, 100%. He will delay those upgrades. He doesn't deny anything. Barely did not get there in time. INexorable gonna be moving out. Building up quite an army, quite a death blow of an army as well. And I do worry here for EON. If he can somehow survive long enough to actually get into lurker tech, then sure. But that's easier said than done. Doom drop towards the left hand side, still double drop on the right. EON trying to keep up. He's keeping up with at least a drop on the right. The base is going to be denied. Force to cancel. EON, nothing quite in position here towards the left. Doom drop does make it in. And EON, somewhat in position. Shows the fungals. And graces the army. Nice spread here from EON. Drones are going down. Do we have another fungal growth? Up. Oh, not quite. And EON will clean up these rings. At the same time, EON is in position. Saves the right-hand base. Saves the fourth. Okay. EON is keeping up. Did lose 9 drones in the process, but, you know, he survives. Does survive. Does hold. Now we can talk about the features of Crimson Court. It's a very defendable map. Center base is now being taken. More CCs on the way. EON is going to try to open up the attack paths here, but again, the tank line is brutal. Yeah, the tanks are ready. EON pushing forward. Oh my god, into a concave is not going to work. Oh my god. Not like this. EON backs up. He's not going into lurker tech. He's going into ultra tech instead. But EON does have to retreat. And again, breaking this position with Roach Hydra, it's not going to work. It's not going to happen. This base towards the left-hand side is a little bit more vulnerable, but the tank line is still somewhat covering that. And there we go. INexorable, he just walls up. He just walls up. He walls off. Oh no. We could be here for a while. Now, because INexorable is being so defensive, it will allow EON to max out. INexorable, he's being active with drop play, but he's leaving his tanks back at home. We can see EON rotate towards left-hand side. There's only a handful of tanks in position, but it's still enough. You can see here, EON, he cannot push into either attack path, either on the right or the left-hand side. And this should be forcing, like, proper hive tech. I'm referring to Viper tech alongside Ultras or Broodlord Infestor. INexorable is looking very secure here. And he should be able to even expand and take this base as well. This choke point can be made use of. This is, again, one of the big features of Crimson Court, is just how fortifiable and how defendable you are, and how easy it is to cut the map in half, specifically taking this 5th base and this 6th base as well. I don't see EON really stopping that, not with this kind of army. Now, the problem with EON's force here is that he does have to refine his army as well. There are some Ultras on the way, and Ultras do have some dive potential, but they do need Vipers. Specifically to Blinding Cloud. To Blinding Cloud these locations to allow Ultras to actually get on top of the army. We need to get rid of these Roaches. The Roaches, they're hurting EON more than they're helping him. And the problem is that EON doesn't want to just throw them away. He wants to trade, but like, how do you trade against this? Like, it's not going to be an efficient. Oh no, it's not going to be an efficient trade. But he has to get rid of them just so we can max out properly. Until then, just building up more ultras, taking more bases, droning up. Likewise, INexorable taking his 5th. It's time to strap in. Despite the initial opener, despite the early game, no, we're going for a bit of a longer one. Now, before this location really gets fortified, EON could punish this. Right now, there's no planetaries, there's no turrets, there's nothing quite in position, no tanks either. And EON, he is pushing forward. He can try to focus this CC down. The tanks as well. Ghosts have arrived. EON going for the tanks. 1 tank goes down. 2, 3 tanks even. Again, much more efficient trades here from EON. Takes down 4 tanks, and he's going for the CC. Very nicely done. And again, INexorable, he just wasn't quite ready for this. He did not see the army coming ahead of time. And EON needs to keep going. Not quite. No, I don't mean he needs to keep going into these bases, not at all. But he needs to make sure that this base doesn't get up and running. As I say that, double jump towards the left. 5 drone kills. EON's still somewhat in position. But as I mentioned before, it is quite easy to secure this. And EON is otherwise distracted, trying to keep up with the drops. As he pulls away, this base, it's going to get up. And turrets, towers. INexorable now on 5 bases. I mean, he was delayed somewhat, but not for too long there. EON actually going for a Doom drop. Okay. Bold move here. Gonna be diving in. Unfortunately, not enough room for every unit, but he'll make do. Headed towards the main. There is a sensor tower in position. Likewise, double drop is spotted. Earthlet's diving in, and INexorable, he does scan, does confirm. And there are some Marauders in position. I believe this was a hit squad to snipe a Nidus Worm. Speaking of sniping, oh god. Ultras get sniped, Hydras get cleaned up, at the same time he hits the right inside and the center base, and he runs into a brick wall. He cannot knock it down. Oof, we spoke about it, pushing into tank fire, into Liberators. Double jump towards the left hand side. Oh, that's a kill, not a cancel, and we have 10 more Ultras on the way. I'm not too fond of this, so Ultras, as you can imagine, they do have dive potential, that is true, and Ultras are ideal when it comes to breaking some siege lines, but specifically this, I'm not convinced. I mean, the SimCity is brutal. Again, planetaries, tanks, Liberators, Ghosts behind it as well with snipes and Marauders. I don't really see Ultras breaking any of these locations. I do think that EON, in this kind of game state, you have to go Broodlord. You have to mass expand, take every expansion you can, try to outmine your opponents, get the better economy, get a larger bank, and just trade slowly over time, take a slower approach. It's not the most enjoyable way to play, true, it's not. But I think it might just be necessary. Meanwhile, the Ultras are breaking and they're pushing in. CC isn't ready, Planetary isn't ready. But here come the Ghosts. Oh god. And the snipes are going off. The Ultras, they melt, Sparky. They do break through some of the next massive fungal. Oh, the one Ultra. Oh my god, so much damage here. The massive fungal popping off. And that was the best trade that EON could have hoped for. That was the best trade he could have hoped for. He brings down the base, these 13 SCVs, and how many Ghosts? 14. 14 Ghosts go down. INexorable still has the supply lead. EON has no bank. INexorable still in a better position, but that could not have gone better. It's not enough, but I mean, that's the best that EON could have hoped for here. Alas, INexorable, he's going to be able to re-wall. He's re-establishing himself here. INexorable's already re-maxed. And alas, EON doesn't really have the economy to sustain that. I mentioned before that it was very important for EON to try and take every base. EON, he's only on 71 drones. His drone count is not good enough here to sustain those losses and to sustain that trade. And you can see that EON, he is struggling to rebuild. So it was a good effort. It was a good effort, and the Fungal was the MVP there. I did not expect the fight to go that well for EON. But he needs to do that, like, again, is the problem. Oh my, the Mule Hammer. Jesus. But yeah, EON, he has to try to replicate that success. I also mentioned before, if you remember, when it comes to relying on an ultra-based army, I do feel like you do need Vipers. Without Vipers, without Blinding Clouds, it is that much more brutal for these ultras to try to break in. As we can see, EON doesn't really have any spell cap. I mean, he's got Infestors, true, but he has no Vipers. He's making 6 more Ultras. A couple of Corruptors are on the way. The Corruptor upgrades just 1-0, so not the best upgrades either. And EON has now remaxed, so has INexorable. Now, the Ghost count for INexorable, it is lower. Only 12 instead of the previous, I want to say he had up to 16. A nuke towards the center. EON does spot it. EON pulls away. EON does pull away in time. Will distract. Oh, I mean, INexorable just going to be distracting EON. He set up. This time the planetary is ready. If you remember, EON earlier, he broke through this location before the planetary did finish, but now the SimCity is much more secure. And INexorable's next base should be here towards the left-hand side. Yeah, he's mining it. He's already breaking down these mineral walls and looking to take another expansion. And the reality is there's no reason for INexorable to move out. There is no reason. All he has to do is expand, is take this base. Going for more nukes. Going for a little bit of harass here and there with the Liberators, with the Marines. INexorable, he is securing himself. They've got another wall of planetaries. Turrets, sensor towers. Getting another base. And EON is stuck with this army. Now, what I will say is that, once again, before this area is secure, EON, he can punish this. The nuke on the right. EON does spot in time, does pull away. He's pushing in. Oh, the Ghost late response. Yeah, late snipes here from INexorable. Fungal grazes with the Marauders. Tanks were on siege. Once again, the best fight possible here. The Microbial Shroud. Let's go. As EON, he breaks past the base into the third as well. Not bad. Getting on top of the tanks. Trying to chase down those ghosts as well. Ooh, but the snipes are brutal. Yeah, detection was lagging a little bit too far behind. I mean, again, not the worst trade, not the worst fight for EON. He will lose everything, though. All the Ultras go down. Once again, this was probably the best engagement possible for EON just before the wall was fortified, or the wall was secure. Oh my god, the Mule Hammer. Jesus, look at how many mules. Oh my god. But just before the wall finished, also as the tanks were on siege, and the ghosts were left idle as well. So, INexorable, as he does get a bunch of drone kills. 15 drones go down. But INexorable, he was caught with his pants down. So once again, best fight that EON could have hoped for. And he's able to hold his own. Because of these fights, because... Oh, so we do have a bit of a pause. But because of some of these fights... because of some of these fights going so poorly for INexorable, like EON, he's making sure that INexorable does not build up a bank. Which means EON, he has a chance, definitely. Does have a chance in this game. Also, regarding to what EON is referring to, he did let me know that apparently there was going to be a fire alarm, like a fire drill happening in his apartment. So that could be it. Feels bad, man. Feels bad. There you go, we're back. Okay, okay. There we go. Everything is good. We are back. And again, greater spires all the way. As I mentioned before, the win conditioning for EON, I do think that, I mean, he's been quite fortunate with some of these ultra attacks, both on the right and left hand side, just before these areas were ready. But now, I can't quite say the same. Instead, Broodlords. Broodlords are going to be necessary. Unfortunately, there's only one spire. EON can't really afford a second spire. You can see that EON, he's really struggling mineral-wise. Doesn't really have much of an economy to work with. 65 drones. INexorable, his worker count is low, but he can mule. As we've been saying, like, he can just mule his heart out. Oh, even catching a couple workers towards the south. Spores, they unfortunately are not within range. This may change in the future, of course, with the proposed change to the Liberator as well. I mean, kind of. As here we go, EON diving in once again. This time a little bit less confident about. This time the tanks are sieged, Liberators are set. We have some freedom, we have plenty of snipes. Good fungal, but the snipes are popping off. Oh my god, it's a meat grinder. This was not the fight that EON wanted. So many ultras go down. He gets 16 SCVs, but again, we don't care about SCVs. We have mules. We can just mule for days, papi. Ay, ay, ay. Massive mule hammer here at the expansion. INexorable takes a massive worker lead, or sorry, massive supply lead. Army supply lead at that. And EON, he does have to retreat, does have to back off. I mean, as we've seen so far in this game, like, ultras, they have their place, and under ideal circumstances, they can trade well. But you can see once the Terran player is secure like this, it doesn't quite work out. That's where Broodlords are necessary to break these locations. More importantly, patience is required as well. The reality is that INexorable, he wants the Zerg player to push into him. Like, he wants to fight on his terms, with his tanks, with his planetaries, with his Liberators, his ghosts, well, everything ready to fight. That is what INexorable wants. And EON, he's been giving him what he wants as well. There's still a binding base. There's still a base available here on the right hand side. EON's upgrades are still lacking as well. He's only got 1-1 for the Broodlords. Since I want to Broodlords, they're here. Broodlords are here. But unfortunately, again, because of the lack of economy, these Broodlords don't have the best upgrades currently. They're not quite there. They still have potential, don't get me wrong. And ideally, it'll be on EON here to rotate between these bases, to like hit here on the right hand side and clean up these turrets, and then back off and rotate around towards the center, then rotate towards the left, and try to nibble away at the defenses with his Broodlords. And we might end up in a game state where EON fully mines out his half of the map, INexorable mines out his half of the map, and yeah, we just stare each other down for a little bit. This I'm not too fond of. We have some CCs on the way for INexorable. Nuke is denied. Shorter spray, yeah. Shorter spray. Yo, the scouting CC. Let's go. INexorable clearing up all this creep. There it is. A second spire is now on the way. Again, EON doesn't really have the most amount of resources to make use of it, but it will attempt to. Droning up on the right, or saturating on the right. And at this point, we may just mine out. It's looking quite likely. Now, soon, INexorable is going to be desperate to expand because he's running out of resources. Like, he has one patch here on the right, he has nothing left in the center, he has 4 patches left on the left-hand side as well. So, INexorable is going to break out, but EON, he's not in position. He's out of position here on the right-hand side. Here we go, INexorable, he's pushing onto creep. EON, he has to respond. And he doesn't really have the best army for this. He's only got 7 Broodlords. How many infestors? 3. And EON, he's still keeping most of his army here on the right. As liberation zones have arrived, they're gaining ground. More planetaries as well. You see INexorable slowly pushing forward here with all of his static defense. And it looks like EON is a little bit terrified of a counterattack, but okay, there we go, there we go. Does respond. Now I do think that EON is still lacking some spellcasters. It's not going to be easy. INexorable freeing up supply. Going into Thor. Two 1 upgrades on the way for the Brutes. Nuke is just gonna force EON back. Oof. Yeah, too much liberation. INexorable is so slow and steady. Now, again, because EON took so long to take this base and so long to take this base, eventually INexorable will claim this area. He just will. He will take this location and take the space for himself. And there is so many resources here for INexorable to take. And again, a lot of this is because EON, he didn't think that far ahead. He didn't saturate the space in time. And there's just so much resources here for INexorable. Aye. And EON can't really engage. But this is the PSA for Zerg players out there in late game TvZ. That's why it's so important to take these fringe bases early, to take resources away from the Terran. Oh, and EON is gonna have to commit. Gets a decent fungal. Yeah, decent fungals here on the Ghosts, but there are so many more Ghosts behind this. They shut down everything, the Corruptors, the Ultras, and now the Broodlords as well. EON forced to take a bad fight, but again, he had to save the base, but he cannot. He cannot save the expansion. It is going to go down. And with the loss of this base, that means INexorable will have an even base count with the Zerg, which means he'll just have more resources. And there we go. The Mule Hammer is real. Base goes down. And INexorable does take an economic lead. Oh, the Mule Hammers. Oh my god, so many mules. Takes all the money. Again, so to be even for in TvT, the Zerg player does have to be up a base, ideally, just because their army's less efficient. But alas, now we're even on bases. INexorable does take the economic lead, and EON, he does remax. Has remaxed on Ling Ultra. I mean, he had to spend his resources. You can see here that he has no gas. The reality is that there is no gas for EON, so all he can rebuild on is Ling. So it has to be just a Ling remax. And with Lings, he could get on top of the Ghosts. True. He can still take some decent trades. He can't do anything about the Liberators, of course, but Liberators are not ideal against Lings anyway. But if he wants to do something about this base, he has to do something now, before the Wall of Planetaries finish. They're coming. Liberation repositioning. INexorable, he's almost mined the entire base. And next for INexorable is going to be bottom right. And again, there's still a lot of resources here on the bottom right base. And it's looking so tempting here for INexorable. Fortunate go down. Lings, they dive in. Ultra's trying to force their way through. And can they get on top of the Ghosts? Ghosts, they kite back to the planetary. Snipes are going off as well. And the Ultras, they do nothing. They get like one swipe off. True. They get 33 SCVs. The Liberators are being cleaned up. Not bad. Not bad here with the Corruptors. They do take down all the Liberators. The CC is going to go down, but here come the Ghosts. Here come the Snipes. Aye. And the problem here is that the Ghost did survive. Overall, again, not the worst trade for EON. But alas, INexorable, he can continue mining. EON still has a full mining base, so he can rebuild. And more importantly, I mean, he can at least remax with Lings. He's remaxing with Ling. All the Lings, Pap. All the Lings. Ling Corruptor. INexorable rotating. I do think that INexorable, he does have eyes on this expansion. But at this point, I don't know if he can take it. Like, INexorable, he lost a lot of his army supply there in that fight. He lost a lot of his Liberators, more importantly. So taking this expansion is no longer going to be an easy feat. If INexorable was able to keep his supply alive and rotate, then he would have been able to, but not anymore. Base is going to go down. INexorable's pushing. Lings can punish this on creep. EON, he can do this. He can bring this back. Lings, they can catch out this army. The power of the Ling, Pappy. It's possible. I don't want to see EON pushing into this, though. I don't want to see him try to, like, break this position. But whenever INexorable moves on to creep, and it will happen, he will move out. Oh, the mules. When INexorable decides to push on to creep, that's when EON has to strike. We gotta be patient, Pappy, with the mass Ling. And here he comes. The Lings, they do rotate, they do respond. And EON, he oh god, he wants it. He wants the other. Okay, INexorable, he backs off. He knows how vulnerable he is. Still muling. But again, whenever he goes for that move out, once again, there's still so many resources here on bottom right on this expansion. EON needs to be ready. INexorable, he scans. Trying to take some of those resources himself. Lings are here. Lings are ready for this. We do need some detection, though. Let's go, the Massling army. Who needs gas? We have Lings, Pappy. True. INexorable, he backs off. This is also where, like, I question the if you remember, I wasn't too fond of him making like as many turrets here or as much side defense. Fun fact, in the new proposed patch, that would actually benefit INexorable so hard right now, is salvaging these turrets, because these turrets are doing nothing. These turrets are doing nothing for INexorable right now. Same with some of these sensor towers. The ability to salvage those buildings would be insane. Would actually be insane. They'll take down the expansion. Denies the base. I do think that even though it's going to be maybe not the best engagement, I do think that EON can push into this. He has enough of a mineral bank to rebuild his Lings. I do think that EON has to be careful with his Corruptors. True, he doesn't want to throw them away. Just because EON has no gas, like he can barely max. But EON has to just be careful with his Corruptors. Engage with everything else. There we go, he does commit in. Liberator's going to be going down. Lings, they collapse on top of the Ghost. Fungal does connect as well. And he even snipes the expansion, takes down the CC. Does have to get out of here with the Corruptors. Oof. Bleeding out Ultras, bleeding out the Broodlord, I should say. But EON, he can just remax on Ling. I'm not too fond of these Broodlords. I feel like the gas is so precious for EON. Less convinced about that, but regardless, still an affordable trade for EON. Making more Lings. And making a third Broodlord. And GG gets called. He does starve him in the end, and EON, he takes game number 1. Whew. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. I'm glad we switched the date so Bjorn can't just grind all 4 tournaments at the same time. I mean, he's still in the tournament. Like, he's still there. But GG, well played. EON, he will take the first game. We'll take a lead in the series. GG. Also, my apologies. I just realized I did not open up predictions for the first series. I'll try and get on top of that for the second one. GG. Round of 16. Now we're getting ready for game number 2. I may as well just open up the predictions now, actually. And again, that could have gone either way. If you remember, there was some, like, ideal fights for EON. We were talking about the Ultra Dive that he had on the right and left-hand side. Just before the planetaries were ready, as the tanks were unsieged. Like, there were some really, really, like, opportune moments for EON where he fought better than he otherwise should have. I remember I was really surprised by how well he was fighting. By how well he did trade. Just because INexorable was getting caught with his pants down multiple times. And did work out quite well for EON. Did work quite well for him. But now here we go. We're getting into game number 2. EON, he just messaged me. He said, I'm tired. Oh, no. I mean, that was, what, like a 40-minute game? Jesus. 45? We're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have the yellow Terran player from Brazil representing the Platinum Heroes. Down in this series, we'll see if we can bounce back. It is INexorable. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the red Zerg player from Costa Rica representing License to Kill. It is EON. We go. We're just catching up with the chat. Is Bjorn still waiting for the first round opponent? Yeah, he is. We go. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot to go over when it comes to the balance patch notes. I mean, we'll be going over it tonight. For those that are curious, we're going to be hosting the Pondcast in, what, just under 12 hours? What, like, 10 hours time-ish? Like, in around 10 hours, we're going to be live with the Pondcast, and we'll be going over all of the balance patch notes, going over our thoughts, our feelings. Myself and Yaku. And after this tournament cast, I'm probably going to go over the maps as well. I haven't actually delved into the maps themselves. I have heard a lot about them, but I do want to like jump into them and have a look at them myself before the podcast. So that'll be the plan. Until then, though, is going to be our initial setup. Hatch gas pool opener out of EON. This time, not going for a pool first. As a reminder, I know it happened an hour ago, but EON did open up pool first last game. Didn't quite work out well for him though. Didn't really get much value for it. This time, standard open. SCV being a nuisance. He wants the drone. Oh, he wants it. SCV. Likewise, INexorable just going for a standard opener himself. Racks expand into factory. Most likely into a 3rd CC. Oh. But I will also try to nap before the podcast, just because I barely slept. Barely. Ooh, as INexorable, thanks to his Reaper aggression, he does delay the 3rd. 3rd hatchery is delayed. EON trying to move out with that drone, but last Reaper is in position. Oh my god. Gas Geyser is denied, and the hatchery is denied as well. Drone goes down. Massive pickoff. Yeah, big delay on the 3rd. 3rd CC's on the way for INexorable, and EON is stuck on 2 bases. Now, last game, EON did play Roach, and he's most likely to play Roach again. But we'll see if that's the case. Ling speed is finishing up. Yeah, 16 Lings on the way. That's a lot of Lings. It's a big risk here for EON. Basically, the goal here, the hope, is that he can try to hit the natural as the Hellions move out. There's an Overlord in position to scout, so EON, he is somewhat ready for this. Lings, they will zone away the Reaper, and the rest of the Lings move out. Either you try to push in as the Hellions move out, or you try to catch the Hellions and surround them and snowball from there. As the first 2 Hellions will arrive, bunker is cancelled. Ling's getting in position. And does EON pull the trigger, or does he wait? He's going to poke in. We'll spot the Hellions, dragging them out. Doesn't pull the trigger yet. Scan reveals the setup, the saturation, gas now being taken. That is an early lair for EON. Ooh, that was like, what, a sub 4-minute lair timing. Interesting. Going up to 3 gases, double Evo chamber. So I was going to say 2-base Muta. I was going to assume Muta play, but with double Evo chamber, I'm less so thinking Muta. Roach Warren would have already been thrown down though. So I'm a little bit perplexed, a little bit confused. Confused as to what the lair is going to be for, as you wouldn't get into a lair this early on without good reason. Okay, melee and carapace. Double upgrades. Hellions move out, so Lings move in, but there are Marines. Yeah, the Marines in position. Lings, they don't get much done. EON, he was hoping that he'd be a little bit more exposed, but alas, not the case. More Lings on the way. That's still a lot of gas, still no Bailey Nest. Okay, now it's all coming together. I was thinking Spire, I was thinking Mutas, clearly not. It looks like Ling into Ultra. We're rushing into an infestation pit, and this should be for a fast hive. So fast hive tech here from EON. Ling's getting ready for a drop into the main. Overlord speed is not done, so it's a bit of a slow drop Lord, but we'll slip into the main. INexorable's moving out. Actually, I say hive tech, and I do stand by that, but we may as well make some early infestors, just because there's no banelings. There we go. Infestors are on the way. Infestors are quite necessary in this kind of game state. Lings, they hit the mineral line. SCVs are going down. INexorable, he will commit. And without those infestors, INexorable is going to snowball out of control. He does catch the Lings. Oh my god. Lings, they trade they trade okay, but Lings go down. Nothing left to defend. Third base is exposed. And EON, he's caught with his pants down. There's nothing here. Only one queen. EON, he gets a couple of SCs across the map, but he's going to lose his entire mineral line. Drones are going down left and right. 9 drone kills to 8 across the map. Overlord has, Infestor has arrived. Can get a fungal off. Still very efficient trades here from the Terran. There's the fungal. And EON will survive, but this was not a clean defense here from EON, and he does fall behind. Does fall behind in the end. Yeah, he just didn't really have the supply to defend. Wasn't ready for this, needed a little bit more time. More infestors on the way. As he's out of a fungal NG. Out of NG, diving on the main army. Gets us around, but again, he's trading against Marines. Yeah, the 1-1 Lings, they can only do so much. EON going to be forced back. This is almost like a Mio Micah style. There's that hive that we spoke about. Like Mio, he does something similar, or at least he used to, where he would also rush into ultras. And as we mentioned before, like that's what this is. We're rushing into ultra tech. That's why there's no Bailey Nest as well. Just Ling Ultra Infestor. The problem is that ideally, though, you have a good economy and you have map control to pull this off. And that's something that EON doesn't really have. Skin reveals lack of saturation. Widow Mine's on the way with Drilling Claws. Which is a good call from INexorable. Another Ling drop. Let's go. Okay. As Lings, they slip into the main, getting a couple of SCVs. Meanwhile, INexorable, he does not turn around. He commits. He does commit. Stimming on forward. Investors have to back off. Adrenal's on the way. And EON, he knows he can't fight this head on. He's going for a counterattack instead. Going for the third. And he will delay mining, true, but he won't do much more than that. Maybe gets a couple of depots. Doesn't push into the natural. Meanwhile, INexorable is. Pushing into the natural base. Going for the kill. EON trying to come in from behind. Fungal's going to be popping off, but there's no follow-up. Oof. Yeah, brutal tank shots. One infestor goes down. Lings, they race back home. And EON, he might be able to hold on here. Yeah, he will take down the final tank. Fungal goes off. And EON holds. EON, he holds for now, but here come the reinforcements. Here comes the second wave. The second army. And EON, he's going to try to pull off this final stand. He gets a couple of fungals off, which is impressive. Oh my god. Jesus. Very impressive fungals. Ultra production has... He's got the ultras. He's getting there. The ultras back. Lings once again moving out. INexorable mining at the third. Ultra is spotted. Lings, they do manage to get some SCVs. Not bad. 11 SCV kills. 12. Very nice damage at the EON. Lands another fungal. Takes down more marines. We're getting scrappy. Worker counts are similar. Kindness plating finishing up for the ultras. Adrenal is done. No 3-3. There we go. +3 melee now beginning. EON going for the ultra drop. Jesus. The one ultra drop. Let's go. He's floating in. Ah. Oh my, the thud that you hear when it lands. Jesus. I mean, hey, gets into the mineral line, gets 4 CV kills, not bad. Up, up. At the same time, the main army getting ready here outside of the bases. Can we save the ultra? Nah, not at all. There's no borrow, unfortunately. Ultra pulling away, getting one more marine. Gets, oh, not bad. Gets 2 swipes. No, ultras, they hit the third. Taking down 3 tanks. 3 tanks go down. Marine reinforcements as well. Fungal does connect with the Marauder. Oh my god, and he does it! He breaks him! GG! Oh my god! EON, he's crazy! He breaks INexorable and he will take the series at 2-0. GG. Oh my god. A very scrappy game. GG, well played. Congratulations here to EON as he does take the series 2-0, and he causes, I would say, an upset. I would say an upset against INexorable. INexorable is the favorite player coming into this, but he pops off. GG. Congratulations to EON as he does advance on. My condolences to INexorable. Again, INexorable, he played very well, both in Game 1 and in Game 2. I still favored him for the most part here in this series. But last EON, he caused a lot of chaos. He caused a lot of havoc as well. Just a really unorthodox style, especially this one, just going mass Ling into Ultra, into Hive Tech with Infestors. It's not a very standard style. It's not something that I'm sure INexorable plays against often. I'm sure it's very unorthodox, and because of that, again, he's kind of lacking experience in that kind of game state. And yeah, once things got a little bit too crazy, alas, he was pulled apart towards the end. GG. GG, well played. EON will take it. And with that, do we have our next opponents? We have updates at least. We have updates coming in. !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look back yourselves.